warning against Satan. I enjoin upon you fear of God, who has left no excuse against what he has warned, has exhausted argument of guidance about the right path he has shown. He has warned you of the enemy that steals into hearts and stealthily speaks into ears, and thereby misguides, and brings about destruction, makes false promises, and keeps under wrong impression. He represents evil sins in attractive shape, and shows as light even serious crimes. When he has deceived his comrades, and exhausted the pledge, he begins to find fault with what he presented as good, and considers serious what he had shown as light, and threatens from what he had shown as safe. Part of the same sermon, dealing with creation of man. Or look at man whom God has created in the dark wombs, and layers of curtains from what was overflowing semen, then shapeless clot, then embryo, then suckling infant, then child, and then fully grown up young man. Then he gave him heart with memory, tongue to talk, and eye to see with, in order that he may take lesson from whatever is around him, and understand it, and follow the admonition, and abstain from evil. When he attained the normal growth, and his structure gained its average development, he fell in self-conceit, and got perplexed. He drew bucketfuls of his desires, got immersed in fulfilling his wishes for pleasures of the world, and his sordid aims. He did not fear any evil, nor got frightened of any apprehension. He died infatuated with his vices. He spent his short life in rubbish pursuits. He earned no reward, nor did he fulfill any obligation. Fatal illness overtook him while he was still in his enjoyments, and perplexed him. He passed the night in wakefulness in the hardships of grief, and pricking of pains and ailments in the presence of real brother, loving father, wailing mother, crying sister, while he himself was under maddening uneasiness, serious senselessness, fearful cries, suffocating pains, anguish of suffocating sufferings, and the pangs of death. Thereafter he was clad in the shroud, while he remained quiet, and thoroughly submissive to others. Then he was placed on planks in such a state, that he had been downtrodden by hardships, and thinned by ailments. The crowd of young men, and helping brothers carried him to his house of loneliness, where all connections of visitors are severed. Thereafter those who accompanied him went away, and those who were wailing for him returned, and then he was made to sit in his grave for terrifying questioning and slippery examination. The great calamity of that place is the hot water and entry into hell, flames of eternal fire, and intensity of blazes. There is no resting period, no gap freeze, no power to intervene, no death to bring about solace, and no sleep to make him forget pain. He rather lies under several kinds of deaths, and moment-to-moment punishment. We seek refuge with God. The lesson to be learned from those who have passed away. O creatures of God, where are those who were allowed long ages to live, and they enjoyed bounty? They were taught and they learned. They were given time and they passed it in vain. They were kept healthy, and they forgot their duty. They were allowed a long period of life, were handsomely provided, were warned of grievous punishment, and were promised big rewards. You should avoid sins that lead to destruction, and vices that attract wrath of God, O people who possess eyes, and ears, and health, and wealth. Is there any place of protection, any shelter of safety, or asylum or haven, or occasion to run away or to come back to this world? If not, how are you then turned away? And whither are you averting? By what things have you been deceived? Certainly, the share of every one of you from this earth is just a piece of land equal to his own stature and size, where he would lie on his cheeks, covered with dust. The present is an opportune moment for acting, O creatures of God, since the neck is free from the loop, and spirit is also unfettered. Now you have time for seeking guidance. You are in ease of body. You can assemble in crowds. The rest of life is before you. You have opportunity of acting by will. There is opportunity for repentance and peaceful circumstances, but you should act before you are overtaken by narrow circumstances and distress or fear and weakness, before the approach of the awaited death, and before seizure by the Almighty, the powerful.